Welcome to Rewriting My Story, the podcast where healing meets growth and every chapter becomes an opportunity to rise stronger than before. I'm your host, and each week we dive into real motivations about resilience, self-discovery, faith, purpose, and the journey of becoming the best version of ourselves. Whether you're overcoming setbacks, learning to love yourself again, or stepping into a brand new season, this space is here to remind you that your story is still being written and you hold the pen. So take a deep breath, lean in, and let's keep writing our stories together. I'm finally fixing my own crown. You know what's funny? People will watch you bleed and still ask why you're tired. They'll watch you hold everything and everybody together with duct tape, prayer, caffeine, survival mode, and pure stubbornness. Then call you strong like it's a compliment. Strong? Don't you know that word almost killed me? Because every time somebody called me strong, what they really meant was, you don't get to fall apart. And for years, I actually believed them. I believed being needed meant being loved. I believe sacrificing myself was loyalty. I believe exhaustion was purpose. I believe if I just gave enough, fixed enough, healed enough, forgave enough, and carried enough, eventually someone would look at me and say, now it's your turn. Ironically, that day never came. Because people get comfortable watching you survive, especially when your survival benefits them. And one day I looked around and realized something terrifying. Everybody was wearing crowns I helped polish, while mine's, it just sat broken in my lap. I was the one abandoning myself, not them, me. See, healing gets real uncomfortable when you stop blaming everybody else and start realizing how often you volunteered your own heartbreak. That part doesn't trend online. Nobody claps when you admit that you ignore the red flags, you answer calls that drained you, you stayed too long, you kept pouring from an empty cup because you thought love meant depletion. Nobody celebrates that part because that's where freedom starts. Not in pretending you were never hurt, not acting unbothered, not in revenge. Freedom starts the moment you say, I matter too. Whew. I matter too. Some of us was raised to believe neglect was holiness, that burnt out was noble, that rest was laziness, that boundaries was disrespectful, that saying no made us selfish. So we became emotional paramedics for everybody around us, saving marriages that weren't ours, fixing friendships that only worked one direction, keeping families together while privately falling apart, smiling through depression, laughing through grief, posting I'm good while our soul whispered, no, you're not. And can I tell you something? You cannot keep setting yourself on fire to keep people warm. Let me say that again for you. You cannot keep setting yourself on fire to keep people warm. At some point, ashes stop looking like love. And I know some people won't like this version of you, the healed version, the resting version, the boundary setting version, the version that no longer apologizes for existing. Because your exhaustion used to make other people comfortable. Your silence protected them. Your overgiving benefited them. But now you're finally asking questions. Questions like, why am I the only one always understanding? Why am I the only one that's always giving? Why am I the only one that's always listening? Why am I the only one that's always compromising? Why am I the only one that is always over giving and pouring and pouring and pouring? Why do I feel guilty for resting? Why do I shrink myself so others can shine? Why do I keep abandoning myself trying to avoid abandonment? That last one, that one will preach. Because sometimes we betray ourselves before anybody else gets the chance. Overextended, over-explain, overcompensate, overlove, and overstay. All because we're terrified that if we stop performing, people will leave. But hear me carefully. Anybody who only loves the exhausted version of you does not love you correctly. Let me say that again for those in the back. Anybody who only loves the exhausted version of you does not love you correctly. Carrying everybody's emotional baggage. Anybody who only appreciates you when you are suffering does not appreciate you, and they do not deserve access. But that's the catch. That's all that they appreciate. They appreciate the access to you and not the love from you. See, I used to think my crown got broken because life was unfair. And yes, life has been lifing. Some of us survived things you never should have survived. Betrayal, abandonment, abuse on every magnitude, loss, humiliation, loneliness, disappointment after disappointment after disappointment. Some people know your smile, but have no idea how hard you fought just to stay alive. But even after all that, you're still here, still breathing, still hoping, still trying. And that in itself matters. Do you understand how powerful it is that after everything that was meant to destroy you, you still have softness left? That's strength. Not pretending nothing hurt you, not becoming cold. Real strength is surviving without becoming cruel. We break in the cycle that hurt people. And we begin to understand that hurt people never want anyone to feel the hurt that they felt. Therefore, they choose not to hurt others. Now that's royalty. And maybe that's why this crown matters so much. Because I didn't inherit this crown. I earned it. Every sleepless night earned it. Every tear earned it. Every setback earned it. Every betrayal earned it. Every prayer earned it. Every moment I wanted to quit, but I didn't, earned it. And now I'm finally fixing it myself. Not waiting for apologies, not waiting for closures, not waiting for permission, not waiting for rescue, not waiting for validation, not waiting for understanding. Because some of us spent our whole lives hoping somebody would come and save us, only to discover God was trying to introduce us to ourselves. That'll change your whole life. The moment you stop begging for crumbs and realize you are always worthy of a seat at the table, it's the moment you stop chasing people who can watch you suffer without changing. And as a matter of fact, not only am I worthy of a seat at the table, baby, I got enough strength now to create and build my own table. The moment you realize healing is not becoming who you were before the pain, it's becoming someone who can carry wisdom without carrying bitterness. And listen, as I've said many episodes, healing is messy. Sometimes healing looks spiritual. Sometimes healing looks like therapy. Sometimes healing looks like blocking numbers. Sometimes healing looks like taking a nap. Sometimes healing looks like crying in your car. My favorite, crying in the shower. Sometimes healing look like saying, I can't do this anymore. And for some of us, healing starts with learning we do not have to earn rest. We don't need permission to breathe. You don't need to justify your peace. You don't need to explain your boundaries to people committed to misunderstanding you. Let me say that one more time. You don't need to explain your boundaries to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. Because healed people stop arguing for their worth. They stop auditioning for basic respect. And I know that's difficult when you spent years believing your value came from what you could do for everybody else. But hear me and hear me clearly. You deserve love that does not require self-destruction. You deserve love that does not require self-abandonment. You deserve love that does not require you to lose who you are. You deserve friendships where you are not the unpaid therapist. You deserve softness too. You deserve reciprocity. And maybe in this season, it is not proving yourself anymore. Maybe this season is about recovering yourself. Maybe this season is about looking in the mirror and finally meeting the version of you that got buried beneath survival mode. The version that laughs freely, sleeps peacefully, creates boldly, loves carefully, trusts slowly, and never again abandons themselves trying to keep others comfortable. Because I'm tired, not weak, not defeated, just tired of carrying things that were never assigned to me. Tired of confusing suffering with purpose. Tired of shrinking. Tired of for apologizing for needing rest. And honestly, some of us don't need another motivational quote. We need recovery. We need honesty. We need to admit that survival mode became our personality. That hyper independence came from disappointment. That overachieving came from wanting to feel worthy. That people pleasing came from fear. And once you realize that, you stop romanticizing your pain. You stop calling chaos home. You stop mistaking anxiety for love. You stop chasing people who only notice your value once you stop giving it. That part right there, that part frees people. Because the moment you finally choose yourself, watch how many people accuse you of changing. And they're right. You did change. You got tired of bleeding for applause. You got tired of carrying kingdoms while neglecting your own soul. You got tired of surviving at the expense of living. And yes, you change, not in the matter that they say, but you changed to become a better version of yourself. And there's nothing wrong with that. Keep changing, keep healing, keep surviving, keep overcoming every obstacle that comes your way, that's thrown at you, keep on keeping on. Because now your peace matters. Now your mental health matters. Now your healing matters. Now your crown matters. And crowns require maintenance. See, nobody tells you that royalty gets tired too. Even queens cry. Even kings break. Even strong people need somewhere safe to land. So if you're in a season where you feel disconnected, exhausted, rebuilding, grieving, rediscovering yourself, you are not failing. You are repairing. That's a difference. Broken things are not always ruined. Sometimes they are rebuilding stronger foundations. And maybe that's what this season really is. Not punishment, preparation. Not destruction, transformation. Because the version of you that emerges after healing moves differently, speaks differently, chooses differently. That version no longer begs to be chosen because they finally chose themselves. And I can be real for 1 second. Some people are going to miss the old you, the always available you, the overgiving you, the silent you, the exhausted you. But the old you was drowning, and survival is not the same thing as living. So, no, I'm not becoming selfish. I'm becoming whole. There's a difference. I'm finally learning that rest is productive. Peace is productive. Boundaries is productive. Joy is productive. And maybe the most revelationary thing a tired person can do is stop abandoning themselves. That's revolution. Choosing yourself after years of self-neglect. Speaking kindly to yourself after years of self-hatred. Resting without guilt. Existing without performance. Loving yourself enough to walk away from what keeps hurting you. That take courage. And please believe, the ones that you walked away from will speak negatively, will paint a negative picture about you. Do not let that distract you, get you off course, get you discouraged, get you unfocused. Because tonight, I just want somebody to listen, to know this. Your crown may be cracked, but you are not worthless. You may be exhausted, but you are not finished. You may be rebuilding, but rebuilding is holy work. And one day, you're going to look back at this version of yourself, the tired version, the healing version, the barely holding it all together version, and realize that person saved your life. So yes, I'm finally fixing my own crown, piece by piece, boundary by boundary, prayer by prayer, rest by rest, truth by truth. And for the first time in a long time, I am not ashamed of becoming someone who protects their own peace. Because healing didn't make me harder, it made me wiser. And now I know this crown was never meant to be carried by exhaustion. It was meant to sit on the head of someone who finally understands their worth. And that somebody is me. Thank you for spending time with me today on Rewriting My Story. If this episode encouraged you, inspired you, or reminded you that healing is possible, make sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who may need it too. Remember, Your past does not define you. Your future is still unfolding, and you are worthy of every beautiful thing ahead. Until next time, keep healing, keep growing, and keep rewriting your story.